You don't know the power of the dark side. You don't know the power of the dark side. You don't know the power of the dark side.
And we're back. Alexa, turn on the office light.
Hello? Yes, I can hear you.
Man, fucking tastic. Jesus Christ. Spectrum, go fuck yourself! Sorry.
Oh, and
about
that's
that, guys.
just, I mean,
My internet straight up died mid-broadcast. I'm really sorry. So this is somehow going to be a 3-part episode? Twitch shit the bed. Spectrum shit the bed. My bed's full of shit, and I'm mad.
And during this entire time, Stephen and I were having a conversation about bandwidth and the FCC.
Giant Reese's mugs.
And a giant Reese's mug. I mean, it was very much, it was very interesting.
No, it wasn't. It was
Very interesting.
So I think I pretty much wrapped up my timeline.
Oh, the galaxy is weirdly at peace.
Mm-hmm. Under Kylo Ren.
Yes, under Kylo Ren.
And Boba Fett and Pelion and Thrawn. It's like, sure, why not?
Do you know what the
And
problem
Boba
with
Fett
this
is somehow chief of state.
Do you want to know how, like, what happens at the end of this? Is that everybody's just sitting around a table, just going like, and here comes Bran the Broken, leader of the Seven Kings.
Get up. Get out.
Spectrum, do your thing.
No. You shut your whore mouth. Don't you put that evil on me. So how quickly could you do your timeline?
Fairly fast.
Okay, go. I won't talk.
So, Darth Vader after the Battle of Endor, Luke being dead.
15 ships, death squadron.
15 ships death. Definitely 15 ships of Death Squadron still left. They're following Vader. Vader's first move, honestly, is going to be... One, I honestly feel like he takes a little bit to meditate, just because we have to remember that Vader has gone through years of trauma. In the sense of, like, now the Emperor's gone, somebody that had a lot of pull against him throughout most of his life. And, I mean, because losing Palpatine, that's going to be a major hit for him, to where I feel like he's going to take a second. And now his son's dead, so he doesn't really know what his plan is. Probably directly after that, his main goal. Now, I'm a little drunk right now.
You're going the opposite of what I'm going. I'm thinking his master's dead, his son is dead, Scorched Earth Vader's on fire and wants to kill everything. You guys, whoa, let's take a minute, bruh, and smoke a doobie. So in your version, Vader sits back, smokes a J. In my version, he kills everyone. It's like the most extreme thing on either side.
I mean, he smokes a force joint.
He smokes a force doobie.
I
With
feel
Darth
like
Shungus.
Like, man, take a hit at this.
Like Vader hit the doom.
Let the force be with you, Scoob.
Like Vader hit the doom. Anyway, Toke Vader. Darth Toker.
I feel like his first move is going to be going back and doing basically very similar, dealing with Asar, dealing with Pestage, and trying to accumulate as much power as possible.
Just the Death Squadron?
Well, he still goes to that meeting that we brought up before.
So he still goes to the Loyalist Rendezvous.
Yeah, he still goes to the Loyalist Rendezvous. He still takes control. I feel like a couple leaders take this as like, okay, I have the ability to back out a little bit. Because there's still Imperial warlords that are there in the galaxy that I feel like would challenge Vader. Vader dealt with multiple different not really only
So
warlords,
you
but
don't think
people in
that like
power.
he kills one and then the rest just fall in line?
I don't think everybody falls in line.
Because see, the way I see it is he kills one and he does like see that's the thing. He commits his savagery early on and establishes if you don't ally with me, I will fucking destroy you and everything you've ever touched.
I mean, I definitely
Burn
see that.
the world to the fucking ground.
You see, I still feel like Vader makes that move. I just feel like my thing is that hyperspace is still faster than Vader. Vader still has to prioritize what he's
For now.
going to do. It's like I still think Vader is a military genius. I just feel like he was so apathetic over
Chase. Oh fuck.
Corvus.
Chase. Chase.
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm still here. I hear
I
you.
heard apathetic.
He was so apathetic during his time as Vader because we still have to remember he came from Anakin from the Clone Wars. So I still take him as a military genius.
Oh, absolutely.
100% still a military genius, and meeting up with Asard is definitely the first move. Trying to get in contact with Thrawn is going to be another move. He's going to have a very busy work week, is what I'm saying.
So you think
And
that
then-
first month is just absolute, just all over the place?
Well, because the galaxy still fell under disarray because it
So I have a good
takes
feeling
time for
our
him.
timelines aren't going to be that different. Yours is just going to be a little bit slower than mine.
Yeah, mine is definitely going to be a bit slower. I'd
And I
say
also don't think you take the swerve that I do with Kylo.
No. Where I take my swerve and I will skip a little bit ahead just to make things a little bit faster.
That's fine. So
Um,
like, just point out what is different.
what is different?
Accepting that when things happen is going to be different.
Yeah,
What
there's a lot of
events- what
time.
events themselves are different.
Yeah, I think it's a much slower process across the galaxy.
So you think
Jer-
that he doesn't really unify things until right before the Yunvong show up?
I think he goes through years of assassination attempts trying to maintain control, and he builds himself not from the Vader he is, but into a new character. I think Vader regains a little bit of himself and gains more of his personality that he had with Anakin, still being Vader, because now his goal is Leia. If he's able to get a hold of Leia, one, I still feel like the rebellion is going to be a sizable
Well, he
issue.
feels like his empire is secure. His
Well,
legacy.
yeah, well, not just his legacy, but his humanity, because he has gone through so many
So you think,
mental
so do you
shifts
think
throughout
she
his
will
life.
eventually try to kill him? Because that's what the Sith Lords do.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I think he definitely still has Mara Jade work with her. I think
But
he
do you think that she's gonna kill her though, right? Like Mara Jade's gonna die.
Yeah, Mara Jade's dead.
Like she dies to Leia. Hard.
Well, because like she only gained her characterization that we love through her love with Luke.
Yep.
And changing
Without
her
Luke,
character.
she stays super evil.
Yeah, without Luke, she stays just an assassin.
Just
So
a super evil
I-
Force assassin.
at that point, I won't give that much of a shit about her. I like some of the
See,
shorts.
I knew you were gonna do this again. I kind of like save characters that you enjoy.
Well, yeah, I mean, like there was a lot that I agreed with you with, but definitely the timeline, some of the shifts just didn't work with me. I think Vader is going to be doing a lot of cleaning up during this entire time. I still feel like the triumvirate comes together. We talked about with Thrawn,
Thrawn,
Isard, and Vader. I still fully agree with that, just because I
Pelion
think
could
Vader
be
is
a
starting
wild
off.
card.
Yeah, Pelion's an odd wild card. Pelion needs to go through a lot of shit. Which,
Like I
With-
could see him and Leia doing a thing.
yes. Like, I feel like it doesn't take the 30 years to come to the end of the Imperial Civil War. I still think 15, 20 years.
See,
Just because Vader still gains control.
If he does go the more human approach, like see, if he takes the Doobie approach, which is what I'm gonna call it, then yeah, it is a much slower unification timeline. Whereas if he takes my approach, which is the scorched earth, it takes little to no time.
Yeah, I believe the impact of Luke dying is going, and the Emperor dying,
See,
the
like
two biggest
it
drawing
does. See,
forces.
those two things will do what will have one of two effects. Either he will sit back and become more human, or he will completely become a tyrant.
Full dark side.
Yeah, he will just go full on Sith Lord and just become another Emperor.
And that's where I feel like Leia is the weird counterpoint in this, because Leia is going to be going through a lot.
See, either she overthrows him or her children do.
Well, the thing is, I feel like Han dies sooner in this still.
I don't think Han dies. I didn't have him die in mine.
We talked about his death at the Battle of Kuwait.
I think either he died. No, I think he fucks off and just goes back to being a smuggler.
Ah, there we are. Okay, so if he doesn't die at Kuwait, he does stay alive for a long time. I still feel like Vader gets control of her.
Like, what's that line in Episode 7? He went back to doing the only thing he was good at.
Yeah, I didn't fully
he
like
really
it.
was all that good at it.
I mean, I don't take it fully to that phase.
Well, it's just
It's
he
like-
goes back to being a smuggler. He goes back to, instead of being General Solo, he's Captain of the Millennium Falcon.
Well, I don't think Luke's
Smuggler
death is
extraordinaire.
going to. I don't think Luke's death is going to have the level of impact to where he's going to leave the rebellion.
No,
I
he
think.
doesn't leave. No, he doesn't leave after Luke dies. He leaves after Leia is taken.
Okay, yes, I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. Leia, for him, he's going to. I still feel like he's going to be with the rebellion, but he's going to be like Finn. I need to get Leia back. I need to work on getting Leia back, and that is going to be his focus. Because I still feel like he has that rebellious side of him, where he's not going to accept authority, and he's not going to accept Mon Mothma.
He might eventually. Well, that could be interesting. He could somehow lead some kind of new rebellion much farther down the line to try and either overthrow or bring back Leia.
I think the rebellion splinters, but gains a lot more territory to the point where it's kind of like they are able to actually stand up against the Empire in the sense of like
Akbar loyalists,
hold
then there's the Bothan loyalists.
and Mothma loyalists. Because Mothma still survives in mine.
Akbar would be loyal to Mothma.
I
He always was.
I definitely accept that there's going to be an attack on Mon Calamari. I don't know who it would
Mon
come from.
Calamari
though.
itself will get fucked. The system, I think, as a whole, will be fine.
I think it
But
gets
the
fucked.
planet, nope.
I think it gets fucked 5 years later. And my reasoning is that
By who?
I think it gets fucked by Vader.
Okay.
I still accept that, but I accept Vader is going to have to do these blitzkrieg attacks.
So you basically think that all of the same threats that came
Hap-
up in canon, they pretty
yeah.
much all still come up? You don't think
They-
Vader deals with them beforehand?
Not entirely. No. I think Thrawn still comes back once he sees Vader there because he sees the dire straits that the Empire's in.
But you think he
But-
allies with Vader, right?
I still think he allies with Vader because he tries to.
Unify as
Get-
quickly as possible.
I think he tries to get Vader to understand the bigger picture. Because Vader still had friends. On like weirdly enough, there were still Imperial leaders like General Veers. There was a lot of mutual
I'm
respect.
not going to call them friends, but I'm going to call them loyalists.
There was one guy. He was in one of the comics. I
Like,
cannot
there's a
remember
good
his
chunk of
name.
people who were more loyal to Vader than they were to the Emperor.
Oh yeah, everybody in the
Very big
501st.
chunk. Outside of the 501st, outside of the Death Squadron.
Oh yeah.
A huge,
Well, because-
like a big chunk of the military was loyal to Vader over the Emperor.
I mean, it was.
He had set out for several years trying to make that happen.
Well, it was a weird form of loyalty. It was this is my commanding officer. I respect everything he says. Still, I know king and country, emperor and empire before. And the thing is, the emperor's death is going to have. There are way too many fucking arrogant imperial warlords out there that had gained enough power through being governors prior.
I just
That
think you're overestimating how powerful Vader is.
I mean, I fully accept Vader's power. It's the power over
And
people.
what his presence does.
Well, because think back to
Jason,
episode.
Think back
Yeah,
to Rogue One. Hashtag the hallway. The corridor.
think back to Rogue.
Death.
Think back to Rogue One. Think back about the Gaul that
Corridor.
I understand the
Of
corridor.
Krennic, and how he got
Yeah.
choked the fuck out by Darth Vader as soon as he became an impudent little shit.
Yes, but think
Because
about
Vader
how
made
he
the
had
smackdown?
the gall. Think about how he had the gall to stand up to him.
He wasn't standing up to Vader.
Now, okay, but also take at the same
It
time.
wasn't standing up at all to Vader. It was being over ambitious, and Vader's like, haha, bitch, please shut the fuck up. I don't have time for your petty bullshit.
Well, the thing is, like, Krennic was intelligent in his own ways, but had a serious arrogant issue. There are still other Imperial warlords out there. There's a galaxy of Imperial warlords out there who are.
So you just think so you're gonna say more or less the same thing happens. Just it takes longer and there's no Kylo swerve.
I think there's a lot of problems that Vader has to deal with the Emperor's fall. I feel like he's going to be fighting more than he ever did in the Clone Wars and in the Galactic Civil War combined.
That's a lie.
My reasoning is that the next 10 years is going to be him putting out fires.
That's absurd. I'm sorry.
Well, it was the way that the Emperor sectionalized the government under him with the Galactic Governors.
I know. But once you unify the core, you control the rest of the galaxy.
Well, the thing is,
That's
still have
how it's always been. If you control Imperial Center, you control the Empire.
Well, the thing is, you have
There's
also
so many worlds out there that are loyal to Imperial Center.
Well, you also
regardless of
had.
who was there.
I get that. The thing is, you also do have a lot of these different dark side cults, dark side groups that are trying to amass power that I certainly feel, just because of the level of communication that the Inquisitorius,
Like,
the
no,
prophets.
I know, but like you're assuming that they all happen all at the same time, and they don't.
No, I'm saying that Vader still
There
gets.
are not 40 warlords that overnight just pop up as soon as the Emperor's dead.
A lot of them do.
There's like 6.
Zinj popped up. The
Right,
number
that's
of people
not 40. That's 8.
the number
There
of
are
hold
immediately
on.
following the fall of the Emperor. There are 8 major warlords.
Yes, there are 8
factions.
major warlords, but there's a lot of minor groups that just control Star
That
Destroyers.
are irrelevant.
There are minor groups that can. Okay, hold on. There are minor Star Destroyer captains that are around that are trying to take control. Think back to the Rogue Squadron novels and the level of organization, or the lack there that was. I mean, look back at Corellia. It's the first Rogue Squadron comic book, directly after the destruction of the Death Star. A group goes to Corellia, and it's like
You're basing that on the comic books or the actual book series?
the comic books. From what I remember, I'm remembering the
Those
comic
were
books.
old canon. Those weren't canon, right?
Those were canon.
No, the books retconned that canon.
Okay, there was a lot of stuff that retconned other stuff that was still accepted.
The books came out later and retconned the comic book canon.
Well, I'm also like going back to like, do you remember the Shadows of the Empire? Cat?
Yeah, with
Yeah, there was the book series, the game, and there was
the Empire. Who was what was that?
there was
Black
the
Sun?
comic book. Yeah, that was guy who replaced
Shizor.
Hansa. No, not just Prince. No, I'm talking about like who the Shadows of the Empire was about. There was that
I don't
one
know.
particular smuggler.
It was Prince
Fuck.
Shizor, right?
No, Prince Caesar was definitely the main
Black Sun.
threat in the game. Yeah, Prince Caesar and the Black Sun were the main threat of the game.
Talon Card?
No, not Talon Card. It was the guy who was in the game.
It sounds super irrelevant to what we're talking about.
Yes, it is. Because we went down the rabbit hole. My biggest issue is that I think that because of the fact I look back to A New Hope and the way
See,
that
you
Tarkin,
keep looking back at these things, but you're
Well-
not. But like you're doing it in a way that Vader isn't still alive. Like you're assuming that people just don't care that he's alive. And that
It's-
makes absolutely no fucking sense. He's alive
Here-
and in control of a fleet of 500 Star Destroyers.
the thing is,
He's
I don't
now
think
the most powerful.
the,
Lord of the
okay,
Galaxy.
hold on. The thing is, you have Vader, and then you had the Emperor, and how much the power that the Emperor. You brought up constantly how the Emperor suppressed Vader. The Emperor centralized so much power under him that Vader. I mean, look back at the number of different Vader books where Vader, if the Emperor has like something over Vader, the Emperor has constantly had complete and control power over the Empire. If he wanted to, he could direct it onto Vader. Vader comes out as a secondary player, even though he's very powerful, even though that's accepted by pretty much everybody. You still had people that didn't fully believe in the Force. Even though they had witnessed
Right,
Vader.
they were not the majority in any way. They were a very small minority.
Vader primarily went around with Dark
Seriously,
Squadron hunting
like,
down
do you just think
threats.
he's fucking irrelevant? You're treating
No,
him like he's irrelevant.
I'm not
Vader's
treating-
not dead.
I still am giving him
Has
complete
500
control
SDs.
of
And you
comparing.
think literally
I'm-
even minor warlords don't care?
I am giving him complete control over Imperial Center. Isard having contact with Thrawn.
The Lusankya.
The Luzon. Yes,
Wrong.
I'm giving.
He has the Triumvirate, and you really think he spends the next 10 years fighting
I
random
am-
fucking warlords?
I am. Yes.
How?
Just because. And I know you're gonna hate me for fucking doing this, but yes, I'm going to bring up history.
I'm not gonna hate you for that. I just think you're wrong because you're underestimating the value of Vader.
I'm not underestimating the value of Vader.
You're undervaluing. Sorry, not underestimating. That's the wrong.
I am still giving him control of quite a lot. I don't
Right,
know.
but you're still saying that that there's still gonna be 40 fucking minor or major, regardless of size, warlords that say fuck you.
Not to that level, no. I'm giving him complete control of Imperial Center and most of the core worlds.
Okay.
That's a
So,
lot of power I'm
realistically,
giving
I
him.
don't give a fuck about the minor warlords. I'm talking actual threats.
All I'm saying, all I'm doing is
I'm talking actual
Altering
threats. How
timeline.
many is he facing?
actual threats. The Pentastar alignment will probably join him eventually and will fuck with him. The Ariado Authority, he can probably he can definitely
You either
convince.
make a deal until he assassinates their ruling council.
He makes a deal until he's satisfied.
Yeah, and then just kills him and takes control anyway.
Yes, but that's an eventual thing. Just because
I
that's
still
where
would
the
like him to do it with the Eclipse. I think that'd be a pretty cool way to do it. Or like gift them a Super Star Destroyer as their flagship, and then just have it blow up. Because fuck.
I mean
that's why.
that's definitely fine.
That's a very Vader thing to do, don't you think?
Vader is very up close and personal.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, Vader is the kind of person that will
So that's the other thing. Is
fly
you
his
know, that's a good
TIE
point. I feel like
Advance.
he personally assassinates a lot of people. A lot of people.
Like, that's why-
Iriadu Authority, Pentastar Alignment probably join the Empire, the new Empire.
Jarek goes into hiding and tries to like get away as much as he possibly can because there were a lot of Jedi that were able to hide from Vader. There were a lot of Jedi still around.
While the Emperor was suppressing him, but yes.
I mean, a lot of them that got in his way presented themselves to him.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I mean, a lot of people that tried to, like, Vader was very successful at hunting down regular Jedi, yeah. But a lot of, like, masters, he personally went after or sent somebody after them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because he's very much of, I want my knife in them. Or I want them absolutely like.
Okay, so 5 years
100%
on. Like, so anyway, Pentastar alignment, Iriad authority, not a threat.
Yeah, not a threat.
Zinj, threat. Maldru, threat. Duskin, threat. That's 3. Who else?
The constant fear in the background is
The
going to be
Alliance is a
Biss.
threat. That's 4.
I think the Rebel Alliance actually still holds a sizable amount of territory, and
Territory is irrelevant if you don't have a fleet.
they still have a fleet.
Not
even
really
after
Kuat.
the fleet still got fucked there at Kuat
Hard.
by the Consortium after the Consortium decided to beat them back. That was the first major assault, yes, and it was a complete and total failure by the Rebel Alliance. The Rebel Alliance was going to lose ships there either way, but they still had ships in reserve to be able to free up Sullust.
They lost half that fleet.
Not half of they lost a lot there. But the thing is, they lost a lot in canon as well. But they still definitely have enough. I still believe in this timeline. They have enough to free up Sullust, so I still see them
Without
as
Darth Vader showing up at Kuat and taking control of the Tarkin.
the assault on Sullust. If he goes to Kuat, he doesn't go to Sullust.
Wait, what?
So, the Battle of Sullust and Kuat happened around the same time.
Right. Which one had the Tarkin?
Kuat.
Okay. If Vader doesn't show up at Kuat and take control of the Tarkin, the Rebel fleet probably is okay-ish. They lose a little they lose a little bit less than half.
Well, the Battle of Kuat still is a complete fuck up in canon or outside of canon or in Legends or outside of Legends. The Battle of Kuat still fucks over the Rebel fleet very hard. I still feel like they're able to recover and gain some territory because even during the Empire era, they actually made an offensive. The Outer Rim offensive was an actual, like you and I both know, they had, it's the Battle of the Bulge, and I feel like the rebellion has picked up after
the
this.
Push was to Coruscant.
My biggest thing is that I feel like there's a lot of sympathetic planets because we have to remember that like there's only like a 5-year gap between the Battle of Yavin and the Battle of Endor. And that before the Battle of Yavin, the Imperial Senate is dissolved. So democracy is gone and the Tarkin Doctrine fails. So we're
going to say, so at this point, initially, he's looking at the major threats of the Alliance, the Maldrud, Zinj, and that's about it.
Well, because look back to the Battle of Yavin.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Eventually the Duskin, but we'll get there. So
Biss is always going to be...
he knows the Duskin exists because the Black Fleet has gone silent.
There is an eventual attack on... The thing is, I feel like after the first 5 years... The thing is, Vader knows about Biss. This is a problem because now you have...
For Biss?
The Dark Empire... No, it's not a problem for Biss.
I think it's a problem for Biss.
Well, the thing is, there's a very sizable fleet there.
Right.
That is willing to just sit there in their defenses.
The galaxy.
Well, Vader doesn't have the galaxy in this. He has the Petastar alignment supporting them.
Hey, look. A new emperor is coming back and will take power away from us. We need to stop him.
Well, look at how many people decided to go work with that emperor. I mean, Artus Kane completely joined. What was left of most of the galaxy, pretty much, of the Empire, pretty much joined as a final thing. This is kind of where I feel like the Dark Empire happens a lot sooner, which means they just have basically the Galaxy Gun and a lot of fairly sizable, around 2,000 experimental warships. The Eclipse 2 is not finished yet, though.
Not even close.
But there's...
The Eclipse 2 is the Eclipse.
So Biss stays on a complete defense. And the Emperor's spirit tries to resurrect faster.
Okay. what point does the Emperor come back? If he comes back. Does he come back?
The Emperor comes back in an unstable clone 5 years after.
Okay, we're at 5 years. Where we at?
Vader's fleet is sizable. Thrawn joins in, recognizing the threat of the Dark Empire or the Reborn Empire, and brings in as much of the Empire in the hand as he can. Thrawn and Vader defeat Palpatine, and Leia also assist. Because at this point, I have Leia actually being captured, tortured, and brought in. Because I feel like Vader makes that a top priority. I feel like after this, Jarek makes a move and tries to burst into the Empire in some way, shape, or form. Because he was also the head of the High Inquisitor. He was the High Inquisitor of the Inquisitorius. So he has his own forces that he might try to get without. I still feel like Kyle Katarn doesn't leave the Empire, so he's able to get control of the Valley of the Jedi, which makes him actually a pretty scary threat. But I feel like Vader and Leia are actually able to take control of this. I think Vader has regained some of his humanity at this point. Some. That is not big. He's still. I'll go with 5. He values Leia in a way that he has.
His humanity extends to his close family.
Yes, he's still very violent. He's still very vicious, but he is not what he was during the rise of the Empire. He was not a soulless being going around just killing. Well, he has something. Well, it's like we have to remember Vader lost
that's fine.
his humanity.
It sounds less fun.
I know, but I feel like it's definitely.
See, in my version, he just becomes another emperor, but even more powerful, even more cold-blooded, and heartless and soulless. He's eventually overthrown. Because the other thing, you have to create a Vader that eventually will be overthrown.
Well, when I look back to
in my universe, you have like this good empire. Well, so okay, 10 years. We're at 10 years. Where are you at?
10 years, the Zinj has taken over the Greater Maldru. The rebellion is falling back. Well, I'm not going to go with gone. I'm going to go with
mentioning.
They are not worth mentioning at this point.
They have Home One, and that's the show.
I feel like there has been a great evacuation to somewhere in the unknown regions where they found. Mm-hmm. I feel like they still exist, but they have left. They are at last resort levels.
Ladies and gentlemen, Admiral Akbar has left the building.
Press F for Admiral Akbar.
No. All right. We're at tickets. What is the next major event?
The next major event is going to be really a cleanup of the Duskin League in sort of the way that we talked about long campaigns, hard campaigns.
Okay, Duskin League is dealt with. That takes, about a year?
Yeah. I feel like...
At what point the timeline? At what point? 11 years? 12 years?
10 years.
10 years.
At the 10-year mark.
Yeah,
Year 10 Duskin League. I feel like Thrawn and Isard... I see Isard eventually, but not just yet. Thrawn is able to convince Vader to not be so harsh towards... Thrawn is basically the head of state at this point.
Do you agree with my Isard Dala theory?
In a way, yes. If
like it?
The thing is, I like it. It's just my problem is that I didn't know how much Isard actually had.
She had full
intel. If Dala comes back,
she knew fucking everything.
Well, if Dala comes back, she definitely gets a little. She gets fucked. Either way,
Dala doesn't come back. It's just a matter of her and Isard try and team up, and the tag team gets crushed.
Kane, I feel like he's brought in, but he's in a lesser level. I feel like most of the other Imperial warlords are dead.
Think he ever sets himself against Vader.
Well, the thing is, I feel like Thrawn sets up his staff.
Kane is not that stupid.
I feel like it's just accepted that Vader and Leia are going to be
yeah, that's cool,
in charge. But the thing is, who? I feel it's the fact that Thrawn, I feel like actually molds the Empire into what he wants,
So you,
and Vader
I knew,
just
I knew you were gonna fucking do this.
yeah, okay, it's not entirely.
Fucking Thrawn fanboy.
It's not just that. It's the fact that I don't feel like Vader has
We are
any
10 years
interest
in,
in the
you've somehow
politics.
found a way to answer the question of if Darth Vader dies, Thrawn will be Chief of State.
Hey, you put him as chief of state as well.
I didn't put him as Chief of State. I put him as head of the
no.
military control. Vader's Chief of State. Vader and Thrawn was his military commander.
Thing is, Vader has never had. Vader hates the politics.
Right, which is why it's not a democracy; it's a totalitarian
But he
dictatorship.
Look back to
Somehow,
Attack of the Clones.
somehow some weird, awkward peace for a couple of years until Leia fucks shit up.
Well, let's actually look into. Okay, definitely. What was Anakin's political views? He actually made them very clear in Attack of the Clones.
Anakin's political views is he hates bureaucracy, he hates the senators, he hates politics.
And he also
he thinks deserves to die.
And he's willing to use force to enforce making a vote or making a decision.
I guess.
Well, the lines, as I remember them, this is definitely.
What's this got to do with the timeline?
My thing is that, like, my difference is I see Vader's personality as a little bit more human and taking it this route if he's able to get a hold of Leia.
He blames the bureaucrats for the fall of the Old Republic.
Yes, he does, which is why he's willing to be the forceful hand to make sure everything
works. That's why
works.
he abolishes them in the New Republic or in the Empire.
He did not have much of a play in the politics itself. He was the enforcer. That's just what he always was.
I'm aware.
And
so
I think he remains being an enforcer.
Hold on. Back to the timeline because it's getting late. Duskin League, cleanup. Next event.
Next event following?
When and what?
Next event following the Duskin League is... Let's see, there's nobody else really on the dark side that he can actually go up against just yet. The next event is going to be the Yuuzhan Vong War.
That doesn't happen until 27.
Yeah, I accept that. I mean, like the...
So nothing happens for 17 and a half years.
Well, the Hape Consortium gets taken out because
seriously, nothing for 17 and a half years?
Well, I'm still accepting that. Okay.
Because there's a lot that happens in that stretch.
Okay.
For example, Showdown at Centerpoint.
Yes. At the 13-year mark, so 3 years later, there's 3 years of basically controlling what was the Empire. The rebellion is sent away. I'm also a little drunk at this moment, so give me a little bit to be able to formulate my thoughts. It definitely dealing with. Well, because I am accepting some of the stuff that we talked about earlier. Like, my only changes, I'm really only talking about the changes, right?
Okay.
I still accept that there's going to be the Triumvirate. I still accept Dala is going to be taken out. I still accept that Bisk is completely wiped the fuck out. Duskin League completely wiped the fuck out. I feel like there's definitely major Imperial reform to sort of like try and stabilize things. I feel like Vader has turned to an enforcer.
He's an enforcer again?
In the sense of he's just wanting...
He never really takes up the mantle of Emperor.
I still see him as... Okay, the thing is, he's definitely in charge, but the person who runs the day-to-day is Thrawn.
Because...
That's where I'm getting at. Not just Thrawn fanboyism, I just don't...
Fangirl, my bad.
It's more that I just don't feel like Vader wants it.
He doesn't want bureaucracy. That does not mean he doesn't want control.
Well, the thing is, I've seen how his control over Death Squadron went.
What do you mean?
He was brutal. He was harsh. If you failed, you died.
Exactly.
That is not a system that can last or expand.
Which is why it doesn't. Which is why Leia tries to overthrow him, fails, and Kylo Ren eventually kills him.
Like, my thing is, I still see Vader dealing with for years and years and years problems with
So how
different
does he
world
get
lords.
overthrown?
The way he gets overthrown is by
I swear
going
to
up
God, if you
against.
say it wrong.
No, fuck off. Like, seriously, fuck off with that shit.
Later.
Like, go masturbate. You just. Anyway. Leia actually has to deal with, like, Lumaya. Probably even a run-in with Crate, who will come back afterwards, who actually tries to set up his own little Sith order. I definitely see Thrawn and Leia. I mean, well, not Thrawn. Vader and Leia going to Korriban and having some pretty badass lightsaber duels. Also, there's the ancient Sith that are hidden throughout the galaxy. There's the prophets of the dark side. They're definitely a threat. There's the different Inquisitors that are still around. Jarek, I definitely see having that fight at the Valley of the Dark Jedi. Desan, different clones that have tried to have been produced. Sabaoth actually might be an interesting thing to see.
That is one wild card I didn't really think about too much because he just gets absolutely fucked by Luke.
Well, the thing is, Thrawn.
Luke takes him out very easily. Isn't that how he dies in a one-on-one? Either I can't remember if he dies in a one-on-one with Luke, or if he just fucks off.
Sabaoth, whatever, creates the clone Luke. Yeah. L-U apostrophe U-K-E. And it was after that there was a lot of Force lightning, and I believe Sabaoth dies through being stabbed or something. I can't particularly remember that portion of it. Because at that point, yeah, Luke kills him. I do know that. Okay. Well, the thing is that Leia goes in and actually I feel struggles against him. But Vader comes in and actually beats his fucking ass.
So I think Leia would fuck him up. Because Leia is the new Vader.
Well, Leia eventually fights Lumaya, which Lumaya tries to turn her
back
to her side. Not back, to her side. There's still other...
I think you're just leaving a power vacuum. I think your theory here is a little bit less likely because you're leaving the Emperor's spot empty. You
here's the
have galactic control without someone at the top. And unless Vader takes up that mantle, it never happens.
Well, we did it. So for me, when I have the triumvirate for those many years, the thing is, I feel like somebody else will take that spot, and I feel like Kane would be a good person to take that spot.
No, not Kane.
The thing is, I'm talking about Imperial Warlord. I'm not saying he has any like real sense of like influence in those meetings and talks. I just think that he has enough control over his areas to where he needs to be kind of considered. I'm talking about government control over.
Point-head question.
All right,
but that's okay. So how does Vader get overthrown? Which is the original question that I asked, and now you've gone on for 20 minutes without answering.
All right, fuck off.
No, I'm just saying. I think you forgot my question.
Vader gets
we chase the rabbits down the holes.
Vader gets overthrown because I definitely see Leia overthrows Vader.
Okay.
Leia becomes Emperor.
Okay.
That's how that power vacuum gets filled.
So you fill the... Oh, God. You take the absolute longest route possible.
I feel like Leia is not able to face Vader and falls to the dark side hard and becomes fairly powerful.
Oh, yeah. No, she becomes pure fucking evil.
Like, Leia definitely...
See, this is why I have Leia die to Vader. And Kylo take over because he's good. Because, again, it is Star Wars. The good guys gotta win. So one of two things happens. Vader consolidates power immediately, and the known timeline is dramatically sped up, or Vader takes excess of 10 years, and the known timeline is dramatically slowed down.
Well, I mean, I'm doing a very...
Like, would you agree with that? Like, it's one or the other. It's not the existing timeline in any way, shape, or form.
No. It's
Like,
definitely
even,
not
even
the existing.
remotely.
No, there are major changes occurred just because Vader has such that level of influence, especially over the main characters that have the most influence.
And yet his
Especially
existence doesn't influence planets and warlords to stay under his control.
well, it's like
Gotcha! No, just kidding.
Well, like my thing is that
Hey, Chase, I was trolling.
yes, I get you.
It's
I
okay.
get that you're trolling.
Hold on.
I am
Hold on. I wanna
5
write
wine
this.
glasses
It's
in.
2:45.
Well, let me just say this real quick.
No.
Leia, with at this point probably her son,
Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren, sure.
Ben Solo.
She is able to defeat Vader just because of the sheer hatred towards him. I feel like if she's turned to the dark side, she never gets over that. She never gets over Luke being killed. She never gets over the rebellion being sent out. But she falls very hard to the dark side. And Vader loses his fuel, I feel like, at some point, because he has nothing left to hate anymore, except for himself. I feel like the emotions are going to play a lot in this. And I feel like in the end, Vader's going to lose to Leia. And it'll be a hard fight. It'll definitely be a 50-50 fight. But I feel like the Force will say Leia needs to win. And Leia rules over the Empire, and eventually Kylo dethrones her as well. But that's like way down the line as well. The Yuzan Vong War, the Yuzan Vong get absolutely bitch slapped before they even really enter the galaxy that much. They take over a couple planets and...
Oh, see, in my version, they didn't even get that far.
I mean, like a few planets,
No,
like
they don't take
10
over
planets.
a single fucking planet. Their fleet shows up at the edge of the galaxy, and the New Republic is waiting for them. Like, Kylo and Thrawn are sitting there with, like, a few thousand destroyers, a bunch of, like, 20 Bellators and 8 SSDs. And the Tarkin, saying, bitch, come at me.
I also feel like Leia changes up the rule of two to actually have it much more of a dynastic kind of thing. I feel like she actually goes like, no, your children, you need to train your child up to actually assist you so that you both can move forward, and then you switch it off to him. Like, I feel like she changes the rule of two just because I still even see a dark side Leia having a weird version of heart, because there's nothing against turning to the dark side. Like, being a bad person and turning to the dark side are different. There are a few different Darth Lords that are not wholly to the level of Palpatine.
Alright, folks, there you have it. There's the rundown of what happens if Darth Vader were to survive based on what happens in Return of the Jedi. Now, folks, tomorrow, we'll take you through the day, we will answer the question of what were to happen if Darth Vader survives if the movie was written in a logical way.
I got a better one for you.
So that logical way being the Rebel fleet gets cut in half, the Executor survives, and only the Death Star gets destroyed.
I got a better one for you.
Oh boy.
Darth Vader survives when Luke... So, at the end of Return of the Jedi, Luke takes Vader, trying to take him to one of the Lambda-class ships to take him off.
So Darth Vader survives as a good guy.
Darth Vader survives. Okay, Anakin survives.
See, that's a different question entirely.
That is a different question
That's why
entirely.
I'm saying Darth Vader and not Anakin.
So Anakin survives.
So that's a
entirely.
whole new set of questions.
Yes, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of repeat.
That'll be the next next episode. That'll be the next episode.
Oh boy.
Yep. You have to promise me when you do this again tomorrow, you won't interrupt me so I can do it 20 minutes instead of 4 hours.
It's still gonna go on for 2 hours.
Just keep breaking up random shit.
Can we do the light side version?
Next, after this. Progression.
All right. Well, I'm gonna play Anno 1800.
I'm go hang out with a friend who's asleep on my couch. Because she's been
All
waiting
right.
for me to finish the show.
Ah.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Wild Space, and we will see you next time in the Unknown Regions. Good night.
We started at 8:40.
Memes.